Okay, Assalamu alaikum. In this session, I will explain the panels. What is panel? Which is most important while design the any swing applications like graphical user interface. So this is panel is basically is like a container. It's like a simple container. A GUI is often organized in a hierarchical fashion, right? With containers called panels. Basically, it is a sub container. It is looks like a container, okay, inside the container. Say when you create a window frame, it has a default container. So that container, we can add more containers in the form of panels. So panel is basically, you can say, simply a container. So in swing, it is called it is an object of JPanel. How do you create the panel? By using the class JPanel. You need to create an object here, right? JPanel, panel p is equal to JPanel, whatever you write the name here. So which simply serves as a simple container. Basically it's a container only. Simple can say it's a JPanel is a container. I can call it as a sub container. What is the purpose? It is used to group smaller objects into its larger components, the panel. So it takes the other components like labels, buttons, all controls, all components inside the panel. Again, panel add to the container. This is a hierarchy. This is what hierarchical fashion here is given. So you create the objects, of other components, add these objects into the panel, again add this panel to the container. It is like basically is grouping all the smaller objects. So all these labels, buttons, text fields, checkboxes, these are all smaller objects. They added to the bigger object, that is a panel here. Again, this panel is added to the container. It's very simple. Or else what is the main, again, advantage is main function of JPanel is to subdivide a frame or a container. So divide the container into small uh, areas. Each area is considered as a panel. We'll see with the help of example here. Both JFrame and each panel, JFrame can use different layout managers. It's not necessary to use both, because when you say JFrame has a default border layout, and the J panel is having a default flow layout, right? So when you say here this example, this enables additional panels can add it to each panel. Again, you can add one panel, you can add another panel, another panel. You can say nested panels, right? You can add more panels into each panel. So and each panel has its own layout manager. So you see that I given this one, I set this set layout. This is set layout, new border layout. This is a layout I set to the container. Now I created one panel. How do you create panel? JPanel some panel equal to, this is you create the panel. I'm setting the layout to this sub panel here to the flow layout, and it is default actually. Now I'm explicitly defining this part, but sub panels, it is mentioned in my slides. If you go with the slides here, yeah, it is a default layout for flow layout, is a default layout for JPanel, and for frame is a border layout, right? No need to specify, but you want to specify, can specify explicitly using this methods. This is an example here. As well as you can set the color, text, right? You can see this. How do you create this panel here? So this is the definition here. These 2 points are very important. It's used to group these smaller objects into a larger component. Basically is grouping. It is basically used for grouping. This is the introduction part. Let's create simple panels. How do you create the panel? I have this diagram. This is small program ready, a frame. So this frame is ready now. I just want to make it here visible here. So let's create some example panel here. Example, I have a J label, um, top label. I can say header label, LBL, right? The next I need some buttons. I will create two buttons, J button, button 1, button 2, and I will create one more J label, one more label, just for mm, J label footer, LBL footer label. I just created this one. I will create this object for this one, header LBL equal to new JLAVEL label. Now control C, control V, this is footer, right? And we have buttons here. V1 equal to new J button, again copy, paste. Can create many things. See, just I want to make it here. I created button, I will add to the container. First let's see, add here header LBL. Okay, I will add buttons here, one more button and one more for footer. Right away I'm adding here just to, okay, this is header finished. Now this is B1 and this is B2 and this is footer level, right? So it's a default layout. I did not set the layout here. Set uh, layout new flow layout, otherwise it will go with default layout, border layout. So it's, you need to import the package for this part and just write here start. So run the code, you will have these 4 items. There is some errors here. Okay, need to add some content here. Let's see, button 1, it's not necessary, but let's see, button 2 header label, we need to add the labels also. Let's see, add the label. This is header and this is footer. Let me write it HEAD, header and footer on the file. There's something exception in null point, cannot find the parent because of comp is null. Something we missed here. B1 B2, sorry, we did not create B2 object, that's why it's showing null. See the exception, mashallah, we learned something here. Null pointer means something you have initialized, you have declared variable, instance variable, and you did not create the object, so you will throw the null pointer exception, right? So anyway, run the file here. Now it will show here, and they are in flow layout, right? They are in flow layout. And now I want to organize this using the panel here, using the panel. Now what is my idea is, I will keep the header here. This is like a header point, and there is a, and the header is it is set to the it will add to the border layout to the north section, north part, and center part I will add 2 buttons, again in the footer in the south region, right? So let this, so we need, you see, we need 1 panel, 2 panel and 3 panels. We require 3 panels for this one, right? So let me create 3 panels here, right? So J panel, how to create J panel? I say top, or you can say head or top. Let's go with top. One is center, another is bottom. 3 panels I will create here, right? So let me create these 3 panels here. So for this one panel, I created header. I will create it panel top. This is top, right? Top equal to new J panel, right? Now for this panel, you need to set the layout. You need to set the layout. New border layout. Does it take here? No, it will not take like this. Does it take? It's okay. Now right away you are setting this border layout, or you can write this way. Either you write this way or you write top, top this set layout new border layout. Either way it will work. Either you write inside the constructor or you set the layout manually. This is 2 steps, this is 1 step. Let me do this part here, right? So I did this one. Now I added this header to the container, but I want to add this header to the panel. What is panel here? So add this top dot. I'm adding the panel to the header to the panel, where in border layout dot north. Right, let me explain. This is important. I created one header label. I created one panel named top. I'm setting this panel as a border layout. Right, my top. In this one I'm adding, okay, I'm adding to this border layout, this header to the border layout of the panel here. This is, let's see, so this is one thing here. I will create one more panel here for buttons, right? So this is center panel, right? At center panel I will here now in this case it is not necessary to set this one actually here. So main thing is border layout, okay. If I go with this one, you see, since I'm adding these components here, these components I'm adding to the container here. To the container I will add to the north, center and the border layout. So I will set the main container as a border layout. That will be much easier. Now here this is not necessary. This is simply not necessary. Right? So this is not necessary at this moment. Just add, create a header, create a panel, add this header to the panel, Now created two buttons, button 1, button 2, okay. Create a panel, center, add this buttons to the panel, center dot. Since like you add here, how do you add? Center dot this part. Create third panel, Control C, for footer, bottom, it's a bottom, right? Add this footer, please. So here bottom panel dot add. That's it. That's your program here. But we are missing one thing. Let me run this code. There is nothing to show. There's nothing to show here. Why? Because here you added all these controls, small controls, headers, buttons, again this footer labels to the panels. You created header, you added to the panel top. You created two buttons, you added to the panel center, and you created footer label, another one, you added to the bottom panel. But you need to add panel to the container. So you need basically see the hierarchy. You create the object, this object you added to the panel, again panel add to the container. So we have three panels here. One is top, one is center, another is bottom. Now I am setting up this as border layout, but frame is by default border layout. This is also not necessary actually, right? Since this frame is border layout already. So when you say border layout, add this top at the border layout north, center border layout dot center. Now add the bottom border layout dot south. Now this will show up this frame here. This is header, two buttons in the center. It should not be like this. It will add, there is a space here, and this is footer here, bottom north, and this is center. If you add more items, it will occupy the whole space. So this is the arrangement here, right? Like example like this. Because of the window, it shows like this, the size, okay. So this is a simple demonstration of panel here, right? Let me explain this one very quickly. So I created components and three panels, okay. The top panel add into this one, we added the header. and the bottom panel center we added two buttons. You see center dot. Again in the footer bottom we added the footer label. Again we added this top, bottom and center panels to the north, center and south, which will show this output here. Hope it is clear.